Decks full-on crossover thing with the Strange New Worlds. I am Mecca. Where's my space thing? That's the space thing.
The following video is brought to you through the generous support of viewers like you. If you like this content, then please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this video. And for those who are in the position to donate, this channel thanks you. And so does this orange cat.
What's this episode name called? Something? It's the Lower Decks Strange New Worlds crossover with Boimler and what's her name? Mariner going through the thing.
I don't know what the title is.
What is it called? It's called
Those Old Scientists.
Those Old Scientists. It is a time travel episode that makes you sit through about 5 minutes of Lower Decks to get to the episode all right. You guys know my issue with Lower Decks and why I stopped watching it. They're very disrespectful. They natter all the time. It is very argumentative. It is just disobedient, insubordinate, arguing at each other's throats, Star Trek, and I cannot stand it. And so I only made it 7 episodes into season 1 of Lower Decks. Lower Decks. Now, Strange New Worlds has been the Star Trek that hasn't been as bad as the rest of the Star Trek now, has it? So we watched, it's been getting progressively worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. You know, the last episode, really, the only thing that was interesting was Spock's mom spilling out over her dress for the whole thing, and Spock's smile wanted, so that's what happened there. This show's kind of getting progressively worse and worse and worse. So the episode here, is this the thing? Okay. When you see, and it goes through this Lower Decks thing, it's still reference. It's still,
well, yeah. Well, that's what the show is built on.
That's what the show's built on, and they even call it out, and they even give you some moments where they're absolutely aware of that. It probably does the best job of combining the two shows that it can, I think. Is that fair?
I don't think that's unfair.
If you're a fan of both of these shows, you're going to absolutely love what you're seeing here. My problem still is, since they've tossed canon aside, I no longer care about the canon, and the references just kind of go in one ear and out the other. I don't really care. And the nattering, argumentative Trek, the disobedient Trek, this stuff, just the talking over each other. They even make a point to say for a second that,
wow, everybody talks really slower.
Everybody talks really slow. They go to a thing, Portal of Guardian of Forever, something. Is that what this is? They end up at this, they take a picture of it takes Boimler, sucks him into normal time, right? Yeah. Sucks him into Strange New Worlds time, I guess is the best way to put it. And he's like, oh my god, I'm a fanboy. I can't change the timeline. Proceeds to constantly change the timeline.
Yes.
Constantly change the timeline here. We have to figure out a way to get him back to the future, to the past, to the thing, to keep them from, I don't know, marrying their own grandparents here. There's Boimler. Spock smiles and it's weird, and he's very weirded out that Spock is smiling, and people are like, oh, just go with it. I'm so worried I changed the timeline. No. He was like that before. So he's just going through a phase. I don't know. Just don't pay attention to it. Who cares? So they get halfway through, and they almost send Boimler home to the present, right? They almost to his timeline. They almost send him home to his timeline, but lo and behold, guess who has to choose this exact moment here to weasel her way into their universe.
Just like she always does.
Like they almost fix it. And she's like, hello, I'm coming in and ruining it. What does this button do? What does this button do? What is it? She's like ADHD Dee Dee from Dexter's Laboratory, right? She's less irritating because of the live action setting where they aren't allowed to just be so high speed, high energy. It's like the entire Lower Decks is like Star Trek on Red Bull and Smarties. And I don't like that in my Star Trek. But, you know, I think they do a pretty decent job on this one despite how I personally would feel like if you're a fan of these, if you cannot stand Lower Decks like me, you're gonna not like this at all. She's so disrespectful. They're kind of painting her though as like, nah, shut up. I don't like my job at all. I totally like my job, but I can't admit that I like it. And I can't admit that I'm good because now I have this reputation of being a screw up, right?
Well,
that's kind of where they're going with her, and it took 4 seasons to get there.
Yeah. What the thing about this episode is that there's no real universe breaking event. I mean, there is and there isn't.
Yeah.
You know, this is what you'd probably call a bottle episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all filmed pretty much in this one location on the ship that's already there, and maybe the one green screen where the Guardian of Forever time portal-y whatever thing. It's not a Guardian of Forever. It's a time portal-y thing, right? They show how she fangirls over Uhura, Mariner does, just like Boimler fangirls over.
Of course, everybody likes her.
And everybody likes her, and they all want to drink together, and they're all drinking their whatever Orion drinks, and they're giving way too much information from the future. This is kind of like the reverse of the Matt Frewer one, where he said he was from the future, but he was really from the past. Mm-hmm.
That one was good.
Yeah, that one was really, really good. This is like the reverse of that, and it's less good because, for me, I cannot stand the Lower Decks constant, argumentative, fast, and then we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this. It's just this very fast, aggravating, modern type. It makes my head hurt. So they have the perfect solution to everything. Oh, and for some reason, I don't know why the hell they decided to go full Breaking Bad for about a minute here with Spock and Boimler.
They wanted to give Spock and Boimler a moment together.
So they decided to go Breaking Bad, right? Carol Kane and Boimler, she's got his little, hey, here's my advice. Here's my scene for the thing. I mean, they paid for me, so they're going to use me.
Mm-hmm. She must have a minimum number of scenes.
They need a certain element to send them back in time because they had one shot and they blew it when Mariner came through because of course they did. So they need to go get more of this what is it? Trillium, Heronium, whatever. Made-upium of the thing. So they realize that because Mariner is also a big geeky fangirl, she realizes that it is right there on the ship because the NX-01 had that, and that hull used to be made of it. So what happens is they take a little piece of that ship and put it in here, and that happened to be the piece that they happen to have on this ship that they used. So they find that they need to go into engineering and get the thing, and Spock laughs and everybody's awesome, despite the fact that they just happen to pick the one little piece of the hull or the ship that had it. Well, that had that one element.
Yeah, they knew where it was stored.
Yeah, but they that's the one piece that they happen to use. I think that's where I'm confused. That's the one piece of the original NX-01 Enterprise that they happen to use to incorporate into the new ship. Just happened to be that piece.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big coincidence. I mean, couldn't have been like, oh yeah, and we use their transporters. So, too bad about that. The transporters don't have it. I believe there's now an anime parallel universe. How does this make sense? I don't think it's supposed to. I don't think it's supposed to make sense anymore. Well, they kind of wave it away as, and, this is just their silly little episode of, and we're going to wave it away, right?
Yeah, they pretty much hand wave it.
They hand wave it by saying, oh yeah, and we solved it by don't be racist to Orions. Don't assume they're all pirates. Because in the future, all the stuff you don't need to know in the future, they're just a science ship, but we can't tell you that because we're from the future. And then they hand wave it away. They go back to the future, and they get the real stuff, and it makes them all animated. So this is what happens, and then they all go wobbly arms, like Spock here. Is this where it is? They go wobbly arms. What are we drinking? I don't know. They're drinking weird stuff. So they got the real Orion, whatever. The lock. And they all say, why do my eyes look big? Why is my arm all wobbly? Why do we feel all animated all of a sudden? Yeah. Why is everything 2D? My eyes look huge. So they do the bookendy thing just to kind of incorporate. Their science is so bad in this. We just watched Michael Burnham survive somehow in a warp bubble, sticking herself to the back of the ship,
surfing on top.
Surfing on the back. So that's getting clipped from this.
Oh, for
please
God's
watch
sake.
that. My Barbie review is coming soon. All right, so for Lower Decks, it's been going downhill and downhill, but we already know that this is in a different universe because the David Cronenberg episode of season 3 of Discovery confirmed that. So it's all been in this. We're calling it the David Cronenberg universe. So you've got the TV timeline, you got the movies that kind of overlap with the TV, and this timeline. Do you think, or the JJ timeline? It's the JJ timeline. It's the JJ timeline. So the movies like Nemesis and Voyage Home, those are in kind of like both. They're kind of the bridge that kind of, well, they could be either, couldn't they? You can kind of accept them either or. Now in the Discovery timeline, that has shot off from the JJ universe into its own David Cronenberg timeline. Mm-hmm. And that's what all this stuff is in this weird David Cronenberg timeline. So nothing makes sense. The laws of physics don't apply to people like Michael Burnham in Discovery. So they don't apply here either, I suppose. But, I think that's the point of Lower Decks and Stranger Worlds is that, they don't want to take it seriously anymore. Because they cannot physically, they're incapable. I mean, talented people could do it, but these people they've admitted that they're incapable of keeping something canonical without just saying, just ignore it, just go with it. And if that's satisfactory for a viewer, I think, who am I to stop them at this point? But if you really cannot stand the weird, bad continuity, this is going to really irritate the ever-loving out of you, I think. So I don't know how to score this one. I mean, this is kind of a better-ish Strange New Worlds episode, but then you knock it right back down with Lower Decks. So it's one of those. The Lower Decks stuff, if you can make it the 5 minutes through that, it's not as unbearable as the whole watching a whole episode of Lower Decks if you don't like it. What do you think? What do you think about this episode here?
Parts of it are interesting. Parts of it are okay. There are some but that's all it is. Parts. It's a bunch of parts stuck together with a bunch of references. It is listen. I keep saying that Stranger Worlds is driving itself off a cliff, and this is more evidence. Okay, I hate Lower Decks. I gave up on it. There are things about Strange New Worlds that I do like. I like the cast. I like some of the set designs. I like some of the costumes. If this were anything but a Star Trek series, I might like that. But no, you're riding on the name. And listen, you've actually brought in 2 unlikable characters into this. I'm like, we already have so many unlikable people in the show. Why do you need 2 more? Okay?
There.
I can't stand Beckett Mariner. Boimler's annoying. She's annoying. She comes in. She tells everybody what to do. She muscles everybody out of the way. And everybody just likes her. I'm like, no, she has no... I said this before, say it again. She has no business serving on a starship. And there's a moment where they're saying, where Pike looks at them and says, he wants to say, will you 2 please shut up? And that's how you feel.
Yeah, he's right here. Keep going.
Right there. Oh, will you 2 shut up? I'm pretty sure that is...
That's me in a nutshell. Oh, shut the hell up, Beckett Mariner.
Oh, for Christ's sake, shut the hell up. He's like had enough.
That I guess that's my response to it. That's how I see it. And it's getting really, really warm in here, so I'm going to wrap up the video portion of this. So I will see you guys back on the live. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to wrap this a little bit up. That's my review of this. Holy crap. If you like this, please subscribe to this channel. If you're in a position to donate, please do so. And once again, that is how he wants to talk to them.
Shut the hell up.
Welcome to Star Trek Shut the Hell Up. That's this episode. Just shut the hell up, Mariner. I didn't like them on Lower Decks, and I don't like them on this. They're less annoying, but still shut the hell up. Alright, I don't know how to score it, but, if you're still watching it, you can probably make it through this one alright. If, you just yell at them and skip the Lower Decks crap. Or if you like it, then I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, and I have no credibility or something. I don't know. I don't answer to people. But, if you like the content, please give me money or something. I will, not be here without you. So, I'm going back to my live chat. Don't you go anywhere.